Can you see me, guys? Am I online? Can you see me? Am I audible to you? Can you see me or not? Till now, not able to see myself. I think I'm online. Yes. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. So, Konbawa, I am getting new wishes now. Konbawa, sir. Then, what is it? So, Saubona. Thank you. Mayur, sir. Ranveer. Everybody is now there. Manish is also there. So, so today, as we know that we are going to look at some Tals games. Can you? So, should we start with some normal tactics before more people join us, and then we'll start with Tals games. Okay. So let's start it today with some small tactics. Just 1 minute. Okay, fine. So this is the first position for That's true, Mayur. Everybody is going to clap today. We'll solve tactics only for 5 minutes until more people join us. Then we'll just start with Tal because Tal is one of my favorite player, and I learned a lot of from his games. So this is black to play, and you need to checkmate white's king. Bishop b3 and queen a3 checkmate. Really? There is no bishop into b3 in this position. I can't see anything b3. Please write down correctly what do you want to write. Manish is saying knight b2. I think you are talking about bishop b2. Okay. If bishop into b2, queen a2, and okay. Yeah, I'll take the first move as bishop b2 is correct because we are now threatening queen to the a2 checkmate. There is no defense. He must capture, and then this check and mate is there. And if he captures on knight, then obviously we'll capture, means play queen to the a1 check and mate. So let's go to the next one now. Now this is white to play. Black to play is there in this position, and it's again a check and mate. Ah, it's okay, no problem. Oops, sorry, I by mistake I made the move. You got the move. Dandapani, good evening. Okay, Mayur, you are correct. It's a check and mate because you can give queen sacrifice. And just to let you know, guys, today I'm going to show you one game in which queen sacrifice is there in Tal's game. That is quite obvious, right, for Tal? Yeah, so for the people who have not seen it earlier, okay, Ranveer is saying knight into f2, queen g1. Okay, that move while typing the solution. Okay, okay. Okay, queen g1 is the best move because this king cannot come out here. So he must capture it, and now rook to the e1 check and mate. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Now it is black to play and checkmate white's king. White's king is a little bit in trouble. I can see it. Complete variation, guys. It's just two moves checkmate. Write down the complete variation. Krishna has written rook into a3, queen into a3, queen a6 checkmate. Well, Mayur, you also have written the same thing. And queen a5 if he plays queen to the a3 check. Yes, absolutely right. Yes, Ranveer, you are also correct in this way. So I'll go with rook into a3. If queen into a3, then obviously queen a5 is a checkmate. And if he plays king into a1, a3, then queen a1 is a check and mate. Well, let's solve one last one puzzle, and then we will start with Tal's game. This is black to play and checkmate white's king. That is a checkmate. Okay, knight g3 somebody has written. Dandapani, if you play knight to the g3, then he will just capture your knight because there is a knight on e2 square. Yes, hi Tubia. Knight e3 will not win, Mayur, because he will just capture it. The knight on c4 square is controlling the e3 square. So the game which I am going to show you now next, I'll just write down the name. Sorry, yeah, I realized after typing. Well, king h1, king a1 is suggested by two people now. Manish is saying king h1. Well, yeah, so king h1 will surely lead to the checkmate, because in that case yeah, white's king is not having any move, and any move by the knights will lead to a checkmate. That's why king to the h1 is actually a good move. It is like a waiting move in this position. Yes, Krishna, you're right. Dandapani, you're right. And It's okay, Nupur. So whichever move white will play, if he plays this move, then this is a checkmate, and if he plays any move with the this knight, let's suppose here, then we can give this check and it's a mate. So I think more than 10 people are here, so we are good to go with one game which I have selected today. The first game, which you can see it on the screen also, that I have selected first game between Mikhail Tal and Robert James Fischer. Both of these players are my favorite players, and okay. I hope you will enjoy. Okay, for the people who don't know Tal, Tal was from Riga. That region is in Latvia country, and at that time when he was there, it was in Russian USSR part. Okay, and then he became the world champion when he won against Botvinnik in 1959, I think. Yeah, and this tournament, which the game which we are going to see, is from 1959 Candidates tournament. And the important point about this game is like Tal won against young Fischer with the score of 4-0. So you can see that Tal was a very great player, that if he can beat Fischer with this score, then you can understand that obviously he was a very great tactical player, because Fischer itself was a very good player when it comes to tactics. And there are some stories related to this game. Means at one point, I'll show you, then you will understand. Should we start then? Yes, so everybody is saying yes. So let's start with the game. Fischer played d4. Okay. Yes, so Fischer, sorry, Tal played d4. Fischer was black. He played knight to the f6. And in this game, Fischer played the opening, which is his favorite. That is King's Indian opening, King's Indian defense. d4, g6, knight c3. I'll just go through the initial moves little bit quickly. Bishop g7, e4, then d6. Okay, and now Tal decided to play bishop e2. The idea is like castles, knight f3, then e5, d5. Okay, now I will go slowly. In this position, Tal decided to adopt Petrosian system. That Petrosian system starts with bishop to the g5 move. Now from this move onwards, I'm going to ask you questions from Tal's side, and you try to guess the moves. Okay, so h6 is played. The first question for you from this game is like, where will you play your bishop? Bishop h4 is said by Krishna. Okay, fine. Bishop e3, Ranveer is saying bishop e3. Dandapani bishop h4. Nupur bishop h4. Well, this bishop g5 is played on g5 square mainly to pin this knight on f6. Okay, that is the thing we should understand, and that's why Tal decided to maintain the pin. Yes, guys, you are right in this position. Everybody is saying correct. Bishop to the h4 is actually correct move, because he wants to maintain this bishop on this diagonal. And if well, no, after g5 there is no knight into g5 in this position, because white is not yet prepared. But the thing is that even if g5 is played, bishop h4 will be played by white player, and then the usual attack which happens from black side, that is f5 and f4, this kind of attacking possibilities will be gone. And that is something which is not for the players who always play King's Indian defense, because in King's Indian they always love to expand on the king side with their f pawn. So Fischer is a die-hard fan of King's Indian, so he did not go for it. He played. Now black wants to unpin this knight, so the maybe the move is to unpin the knight on f6. Queen e8 can be a possibility in this position, but if he plays queen to the e8, then white has this move knight to the b5 attacking the c7 square, and again he needs to protect the pawn on c7. That's why he needs to come back to the d8 square. So to prepare that idea of queen e8, he plays a6. Okay, did you understand this thing, that knight b5 is stop? He will play obviously queen to the e8. That was his plan. And here what would you play from white side? Shivendra, yes, welcome back. Which move will you play from Tal's side? Knight e2, I mean knight d2. Okay, possibility is there, knight d2 is there obviously. Fisher's movie, great. Which movie did you watch, Shivendra? Knight d2, okay. Saksham is saying knight d2, okay. So though two people have already told me knight to the d2, or queen side knight d2 or h3 to go to the knight h2, knight g4, etc. Okay, there are many possibilities in this position. Okay, Ranveer also said that thing, pawn sacrifice. Okay, that's a good movie, I have also watched it. Okay, Tal played knight d2. There are some ideas behind knight to the d2. At some point what happens is like this knight is unpinned, so this knight will be moved to the maybe h7 square or something like that. Then black will start his attack on the king side. In those movements, white needs to start his own attack on the queen side. So this is like flank attack on the both sides will happen. Okay, so here knight to the h7 Fisher played. His idea is something very unique in this position, I will tell you. Now his idea, you might think that f5 might be the idea. Well, that is his idea, but he had some different move also. And at this position, what will you play? Your opponent is preparing some attack on the king side. Which move will you play now? It is a counter attacking move you need to play. Can you play like Tal? Can you guess the move? f3 is little bit passive, my dear friend. Krishna, bishop g4 you are saying, but if you play bishop to g4, I'll just play f5. Okay, g4 if you are going to play, then also see, you should not weaken. That is what black wants. If you play g4, then I will play f5. I am ready for it because black's pieces are ready on the king side, and if you weaken your king, then you might get checkmated. You cannot open up on the king side, because if you open up like this, then this position is actually favorable for black because he has more pieces on this side. What he will do, he'll just play the bishop here, king h8, and this rook g8 will come, queen is also coming, not on h5, but this f5 pawn will surely fall. Knight c5 and bishop into f5. Black's pieces are coming quite quickly in the game, and look at white's pieces, they are not that much ready. You should not help your opponent. Okay, f4 is said by, see, again you are thinking about f4. You should not help white, sorry, black, because if you play this move, again e5 square will be weak. Okay, your opponent is going to play on the king side, so yes, b4 to avoid knight c5 can be, not only to avoid on knight c5, Ranveer, you are also right, b4, but b4 is played to create some ideas with c5 move, because this knight has been played to the d2 square so that it can jump to the c4 square. Remember this thing, when your opponent is creating some play on the one side of the board, that is king side, try to play on the other side of the board. That will surely help you to create your own chances. And he will have, it's like somebody is punching you on the right side, you'll punch him on the left side. When you cannot punch in the face, because in this position you can see the center is already closed. You cannot open up in the center. Okay, so b4 is played. Okay, just to let you know about this move, in the same tournament Tal and Fisher played the same position. They had reached the same position, and in that game Fisher chose to play knight to the g5 in this position. Okay, and previously also he played f5, but Fisher did not get anything new in this position, like he did not get any win or anything. So he spent 10 hours to prepare at this position. Exactly in this position he spent 10 hours to come up with something new. And after spending too much of time before the game only, he was a little bit tired, and he played the move which he had prepared, bishop to the f6. Okay, Fisher was a very great player. He used to prepare for the games very deeply, and when Tal saw this move, he was very like, why bishop f6? Because why anybody will play bishop to the f6, which is not that much natural move, because f5 is so natural. But there is an idea behind Fisher's move. He wants to exchange his bad bishop with Tal's good bishop. Okay, so and here Tal decided to play. Okay, I will ask you, what would you play from white side? Will you capture the bishop, or will you play bishop to the g3? I am giving you two options, bishop g3 or bishop into f6. Okay, Nupur is saying bishop g3. Well, bishop to the g3 is not that good, I think, Dandapani, Krishna. Because if you play bishop to the g3, I'll tell you what might happen. Black will play his bishop to the g5 square, and then he is controlling the square. Maybe if you are going to, or he can even play this bishop back and then f5, all these moves, and this bishop is not doing that good, because after f5, f4 is the threat. This bishop will again be attacked. Okay, so Tal decided to just capture the bishop with bishop into f6, because after the capture, Black again needs to move his knight to play something on the king side. So it is losing some moves. Okay, now as we know what was Tal's plan, he wanted to play c5 in this position, but immediately he cannot play it. So how will you prepare for the c5 breakthrough? Yes, knight b3 is the move you need to play so that you can play c5. Now you are preparing c5 move, and Fisher understood that what Tal wants to play. He stopped that plan with queen to the e3, e7. So this diagonal is now controlled. Yes, guys, you are right. Mayur, you are right. Ranveer, correct. Tuvya, correct. Dandapani, you all are giving me correct answer. Shivendra also correct. Now Tal played queen to the d2, attacking the pawn on h6. And also there is one idea behind this move, queen to the d2. He wants to play his queen to the e3 square so that he will support the c5 square. So Black defended the pawn on h6 with king to the h7. Now which move will you play? Which is quite obvious. Yeah. Yes, correct. Queen to the e3 is obvious move. We want to play c5. That's why he is playing this move. And Black realized that he also needs to create some counterplay because of that bishop f6, knight f6. He has again got the knight on f6. So he played knight to the g8, creating a space for this pawn on f5 to go forward. Okay. So obviously Tal played c5 as he prepared for this thing, and Black played f5. So both players are fighting something in this position. And now which move will you play? Shivendra is saying c6. Well, c6 might be a possibility. f3. Well, f3 is a standard move. Many people play it. But Tal did not want anything from Black side to be played by f4, g5. This kind of plan, he did not want to go through it. He thought about something else. Okay, Tuve is saying A into F5, but what is the idea of E into F5? Mayur is saying F4. Well, F4 is also a possibility. But if you play, let's suppose you play F4, but after F4 if I capture, then queen into F4, and you are giving one very important square on E5 to black's knight, and black will be happy to play knight to the E5. Okay, you are also getting this D4 square, I agree, but this bishop will also be coming in the game very quickly. CD maybe. Well, that is also a possibility. Knight d2. Saksham is saying knight, but knight d2 is a passive move also, and you are losing support of the c5 pawn, because he is attacking the pawn with two pieces here. Okay, you should not will weaken black's king. E into f5 will weaken black's king. Two ways saying that move. Okay, it is not just weaken. After E into f5, G into f5, the main thing is like what would you play now? That also you need to calculate. It is not just weaken. You need to think further what would you do. And Tal thought a little bit further also. Well, just to let you know, he played E into f5 in this position, and after G into f5 he had one very nice idea in his mind. That's why he played. Bishop f3 is being said, f5 is said. Okay, you mean f4, right? G3. G3 is a very passive move. You should not play, because black will be very happy to play f4 in that case. Yes, f4 is a good move in this position. I will tell you why f4 is a good move. Because let's suppose you play f4. Tal played f4 actually in the game. If you play e4 in this position, then you will never get the e5 square for your knight. Another thing is that even if this knight comes anywhere, then he is not having this e4 square. And another thing is that you will at some point are going to get this d4 square for your own knight. And if f5 pawn is there and e4 pawn is there, this bishop on c8 will be very unhappy, because it will not be able to come out. Okay, so that's why after f4, e4 will be a bad move. So Fischer understood this thing and he played e into f4. But by playing like this, he is creating some weaknesses around his king. You can see that now black's king is little bit open. There are these weaknesses, this like hollow squares are there around black's king. All white need is like this bishop should come on this diagonal, and black will be in trouble. Okay, but black also had some things in his control, that he can put the knight on e5 square and control the d3 square. Okay, but Fischer was in some different mood, I think, and he thought like, okay, I can grab the pawn on c5, and then I will be okay. And Fischer was a kind of player, if you offer him a sacrifice, he often used to feel like very egoistic kind of, okay, you are offering me a sacrifice, I'll take it, now you prove it that your sacrifice is the correct sacrifice. And Tal was very good in psychological battles. He offered Fischer one bet, and Fischer just took it. He played d into c5, but that was a kind of a trap. Now bishop to the d3 is played. That is what Tal wanted. He wanted to put his bishop on this diagonal. He's not caring about this pawn on b4. He's saying, okay, Fischer, if you want to take my pawn, take my pawn, but I'm going for your king now. And in this position again, black should have played something like queen to the g7 was actually a good move in this position. Giving up this pawn, I agree, but at least you are putting this queen, and now next move you can play knight to the e5 and attack this bishop. So this was a possibility, but Fischer, as I told you, he used to take the sacrifices and he took the pawn on b4. And now, okay guys, you tell me, this is very important move, that's why I'm going to ask you. I'll give you some time. What would you play from white side? Well, bishop into f5 is a very natural move. Anybody will play that move, but Tal understood the value of every piece. It is not so natural move. Bishop f5 is so natural. Vaibhav, hello. Knight e2, activate your knight to good square. Well, Tal was not in mood to play any saving move. Knight e2 is a possibility, but it is just because you are attacking the knight. But Tal is not a player who will just save the piece just because you are attacking it. It should have some idea behind it. Queen d4 possible, but what is your idea if I just capture your knight? Well, if you're going for that thing, I can always, if you capture here, then let's suppose you play queen to the d4. If I capture here, if bishop into f5, I can always capture it back, and I will be having two pieces. Well, this position is still complicated. It's not that clear. I will play knight f6, and this bishop is also coming in the game. Okay, and you are not having that many pieces around black's king. As I told you earlier, if you remember, call everyone for the party. Yes, Tuvia, you are right. Rook a e1. You should play with all your toys, not just one toy. Okay, Rook a e1 is the best move in this position, because now you are attacking the queen. Rook a e1 is the correct move. So the queen is attacked. So black played queen to the f6 in this position. Now which move will you play? Your knight is being attacked, see. So which move do you think Tal had played in this position? Rook is suggested by Shivendra. Okay, Krishna is saying knight e4, but I think I will just capture, because yeah, the capturing is not that good maybe, but okay, I can play, because my queen is hanging, but I can play queen e5, attacking your queen in this position, because you cannot really capture on f5 in that case. Nupur is saying rook e6, then bishop into f5. Well, Ranveer is also saying rook e6. Rook e6 is suggested by, well, Manish is also saying that thing. Well, yes, Tal played rook to the e6, not caring about his knight on c3, because he's saying like, okay, take my piece on c3, your queen will be away from your own king, and that is what he is aiming for. And now bishop into f5 comes in the center, then rook into f5 and queen into f5. You can see that black's king is completely naked in this position. There is no strong piece around black's king, and after king to the h8, Tal played another move which is quite characteristic of his play. He plays with all his pieces. Now you can understand, this knight is rook is there, this queen is there, this knight is also there, but you cannot really jump anywhere right now with your knight. But this rook is still yet to come in the game, and he brings this rook in the game with the rook f3. This is the rook lift. Always remember, if you can bring your piece, especially the rook, in the game like this, the rook lift is very, very interesting. Now queen is being attacked. Look at these pieces on c8, a8, d7. They are just stranded on the other planet, you can say. They are not in the main game. Okay, black played queen to the b2 in this position. Now my question is to you, what would you play? Again, a very silent move by Tal. Yes, that is also very important point said by Nupur, that queen cannot really give any check. This square is controlled, this square is controlled. All these squares are controlled by white spaces. Okay, rook h3 is being suggested by you people. Well, I agree, but okay, h6 is also being controlled. See, black's idea, I will tell you. What black is trying to do is like, he wants to play knight to the f6 now. to support the knight also here, and also bringing this bishop in on this diagonal so that it can attack the rook as well as the queen. So be careful. If you play rook to the h3 in this position, then black will suddenly be winning after rook knight d f6, and your rook cannot move. You cannot really capture on h6. Okay, you can capture on h6, but I will just capture it back, and there is no satisfactory move from your side. If you play rook into f6, then your queen is hanging because I can play bishop into f5. And if you play queen into f6, then black will be very happy to exchange everything now, because this rook bishop will come in the game, maybe with bishop to the not exactly bishop, knight f5 maybe I can just play, because you cannot really do anything. Even if rook f8 is king g7, and then knight d6 is the threat, and you will support everything. Black will be happy to go into this in game because white will be pieced down. So understand your opponent's idea. He wants to play knight df6, so rook h3 is not a good move. Okay, I told this variation a little bit fast, but I just wanted to skip this variation. That's why I told you this thing. So which move will you play? You should understand your opponent's ideas. And Tal was very clever, like he understood. Rook g3 is said, queen g6 is also suggested. Okay, you are not getting to that move because that is a very silent move. So I'll tell you, he played rook to the e8. Yes, Shivendra told this move finally. Okay, why rook e8 is like, now you are pinning the knight on g8. You are also pinning this bishop on c8 so that it cannot come so very quickly. The rook on a8 is there. And if, let's suppose, in the game knight d f6 was played, but knight d f6 will lead to the end game, which is completely bad for black. Which move will you play? And Tal was kind of a player, if he can get into the end game, which is technically winning for him, he will go for it, because he's attacking. All the ideas are already done. He just needs to finish off his opponent. And Fischer understand, even though he had all these moves, his pieces are completely paralyzed. Yes, queen into f6, Ranveer, you are right. Rook into c8, I will not play that move because okay, rook into c8, because rook into c8, queen into c8, I have this queen b1 check. And now what would you do? Maybe rook f1, then I'll play queen into a2. Okay, black has defensive resources in this position, and he has plenty of pawns also. So it is not that good. Means you are exchanging your opponent's bad pieces. That is not Tal wants in this position. Queen f6 is the best move, because you don't need to exchange those pieces on c8 or a8. You just keep them on the board. So queen into f6 check, queen into f6, rook into f6. Now the idea is to play rook f8, and then this piece as well as this piece will be gone, and black is completely in a very bad position. Okay, black played king to the g7, and finally he played rook f8. This knight is being attacked, this bishop is also being attacked, and it's almost over. Black tried his last resource. He played knight to the e7, because now rook into e7 is not a good move, because king into f8 will be played. But as you can see, in this position, this knight is supporting this bishop, this rook is also supporting this bishop, so this knight cannot move. If this knight moves, then bishop will be lost. If this bishop moves anywhere, this rook will be lost. And if this king moves anywhere from the attack, then this knight will be lost. So black's any piece move will lose him. Only piece he can move is like his rook, and this is very pity position for Fischer. I think he never played like this in his life, especially in the candidates tournament. And what we just want to attack any of black's piece. So Tal maneuvers his knight to attack this pieces. He plays knight to the a5. His idea is very simple. I'll show you. Like, if black plays h5, as I told you, he cannot play any of the pieces. He will just stop all the pawn moves. If rook b8 is played, he is going to bring his knight towards this knight. He played knight to the c4. Now if b5, then knight to the e5. Now the idea is to play knight to the c6. He will exchange this. If you play rook to the a8, he will play knight to the c6. If this is played, then again this bishop on c8 will be lost. And after knight to the e5, actually Fischer resigned in this position. So I hope you like this game. This was interesting game by Tal. All he did in this game was he didn't care about his queen side, because all he wanted is black's king. And even if Fischer prepared for that bishop f6 move, he made some psychological mistakes in this game that was very important. Okay, now the next game which I have selected is played between Tal and H. Rook, rook down almost. Yes, he was almost, because he went for Tal's pawns, and when Tal sacrifices something, it's always dubious. You should not really go for it. Okay, the next game we will start now. Just 1 minute. This is also a very interesting game which we are going to played in Olympiad tournament. It was very crucial game at that time, because and the most important thing in this game was Tal was not feeling good in this throughout the tournament. I'm just writing down the name, just give me a second. H. Olympia 1962. Okay, fine. So we are good to go now. Okay, fine. So Tal was white and H was black. I will not reveal everything right now what happened in the game, because this game was actually very interesting, and this game was awarded, unofficially awarded, as the best game played in that Olympiad. And you know, in Olympiad all the countries in the world play, and they play thousands of games. In thousands of games, this game was awarded as the best game in whole Olympiad of 1962. So you can see like what really happened must be very fascinating. So let's enjoy it. So Tal started with d4. His opponent played knight to the f6, c4, e6. This can be Nimzo Indian defense now. And now white played knight to the f3, b6, and knight to the c3, and bishop to the b4. This is Queen's Gambit, Queen's Indian defense, or you can say like Nimzo Indian defense also, because knight f3 has been played in this position. So Tal played bishop to the g5, again pinning this knight. Okay, this is his usual strategy. He wants to pin his opponent's knights. And black played bishop to the b7, activating the bishop on this diagonal. So white played e3, and now h6. As we know, so okay, my video and audio is fine, right? I think it's fine, because I can see my own video and audio quite good. I'll always check it if it's correct. Is it black to move? Yes, it is. No, it is white to move. Now he plays fine. Okay, good. So he plays bishop to the h4, maintaining this bishop on this diagonal. And black player thought like, okay, this is my chance to maybe just double the pawns. So he played bishop into c3, b into c3. As we have seen in previous game also, in Tal's game, this bishop might be handy in this position. Okay, so black played d6, controlling the e5 square. And now my first question for you is like, what would you do? Okay guys, I need to bring some water. I'll just come back in 1 minute. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. You think till that time, and let me know in comment section. I'll come back in just 1 minute. I need to bring some water. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Okay, so you are suggesting d5 move. Bishop d3 is also suggested. Thanks for still waiting for me. Okay, in this position, Tal decided to play something which is very important in this opening. Those players who don't know this opening will not understand what exactly needs to be done in this position. So I will tell you. The d6 move is played not just to control the pawn e5 square. Usually black players wants to play knight d7, queen e7 and then e5. Okay. So in such positions, Sanket Bojevar, hello. So and then he is going to play e4. So white needs to prepare against those moves. That's why, and as we know that the c4 pawn is also one of the weaknesses in this position, and if you play d5 then you are giving up control of the c5 square, and black will be very happy. If you play d5, let's suppose black will play e5 and then knight will come on d7 square, it will occupy the c5 square, and don't worry about this bishop on b7, it is not being blocked, it will come back in the game with bishop c8, and this diagonal is quite good for this bishop. Okay, so d5 is not that good in this position, so you need to prepare against black's plan. So Tal understood this opening, so he played knight to the d2, controlling the e4 square, protecting the pawn on c4, and also there is one idea, that is f3 is the idea with the move of e4. Okay, that is his idea. So let's continue. Black played e5. As I told you, what was white's idea? What would you play? Well, you cannot really play bishop d3 and e4 because that is played, but exactly right now bishop d3 is not needed. You can wait for your bishop. Maybe the bishop can be useful on e2 square, we never know. But knight is definitely useful on d2 square because it will be protecting the c4 square. f3 would allow him to take on d4. Okay guys, d5 is not the best move. You should not play d5. If you play d5, the c5 square's control will be lost. Well, e4 is a possibility, but he did not go for it, because if you play e4, let's suppose, then black can play something which is not really characteristic of the position, but he can play g5, and suddenly your pawn on e4 will be hanging. After this the pawn on e4 will be lost, and it is not any dangerous position for black, because even if you play queen to the e2 in this position, I can play queen e7 and the bishop will move back. So black is kind of safe in that position. Okay, if he takes on d4 cd, yes, I already mentioned it, he can take on d4, there is also no problem, the e4 pawn will be lost. So to support the e4 square, Tal played f3. Now his next idea is to play d4, and if suppose if he plays this move, we will play this move, and again we are going to play e4. We want him to capture on d4, because if he captures on d4 in any position, then we will be happy, because we will be able to play c into d4. Okay. Sorry. So as per the plan, black played queen to the e7 in this position. Okay, I'll go a little bit further. White played e4 in this position, and black played knight bd7. All these moves are little bit quite opening, and I'll not discuss this completely because it will be an opening session only for us. So white played bishop to the d3. This structure is quite good from white side because it is blocking this bishop, and now he finally played bishop to the d3 and played knight f8 was played in this position. The knight's idea is to play knight to the g6 and attack this bishop on h4, and now white means Tal played a very interesting move. Can you find it out? Now this is middle game move, which is very interesting. Tal understood that black is not going for the d4 pawn. He is not going to let him just. Okay, I will just tell you the move and you tell me why it might be played. So Tal played c5 move. Can you find out why Tal must have played this c5 move? Well, knight c4 is a square, bishop b5 is also a possibility, d5 at some point. Well, queen h5, no, queen a4 check. Well, to break pawn structure, what you said I were in outside. Okay. c5, okay. Okay, I will reveal it to you. If we play bishop b into c5, then this rook's file will be opened up and the c5 square is no longer for the black's knights, okay. And then white can simply play d5 in this position, and then this bishop b5 check is also there, and it will be okay. And as already mentioned, the c4 square will be there for white's knight, and this rook's file will also be opened up, so he cannot really capture on c5 with the b pawn. And if he captures d into c5, that is what happened in the game, then white had one nice idea in his mind. He is going to capture on e5. He has given up one pawn on the queen side, but what he is trying to do, he is trying to get the control in the center of the board. And also he has vacated this c4 square for his pieces. Knight c4 or bishop c4 might be possible in this position. So after queen into e5, Fisher like Tal played queen to the a4 check, then c6 is played, and now in this position he just castled, okay. And black played knight g6 attacking the bishop on h4. Now again for you, which move will you play? Will you save your bishop on h4, or will you play a very interesting move in this position, which was actually a good move? c3 pawn is hanging, okay. Bishop g3, okay. Somebody is saying c3 pawn before knight g6. Okay, we will see what really is happening if he captures the pawn on c3. Well, c3 pawn can be captured, but if he capture the pawn, then again I have this knight c4. This is a complicated move. Knight c4 is there, and if you capture the bishop also in this position, let's suppose queen into d3 is there, then I can just simply bring my rook on this side, and then knight d6 is check is there, and then this knight into b7 will be there, and it will be very difficult position for black to play, because and there is still the idea is still there that d6 square is weak, e5 is the move is threatened, and then knight will jump on the d6 square. So, and black is just wasting his moves because he cannot really castle. What black wants to do is safeguard his king, so he is not going for the pawns. Tal always gives a pawn for his opponent. He is always saying that, okay, take my pawns on the queen side, I'll go for your king, okay. So that's why he did not capture it. He played knight g6 preparing castle in this position. Okay, f4 is being said, knight c4 is also suggested by someone, bishop f2 is said, knight c4 is suggested. Well, I will tell you, knight c4 is the best move in this position, because there is idea in this move, because knight d6 check can be played at some point. There might be a possibility. Queen d4 and taking black queen. Okay, if you capture, if you play, okay, in that position, if you are going for queen d4 check, you are saying this thing, right? Then I can play bishop to the f2. Then again queen is being attacked. If queen moves back, then I already mentioned that e5 is the move. If this knight moves, then knight d6 check will happen, and again this bishop on b7 will be lost, okay. Is it clear now? The c3 pawn should not be captured. You need to save your king, okay. Well, in this position, knight c4 is played, attacking the queen and this possibility. So he played queen to the e6, and now Tal played again a good move. He wants to go for knight d6 check. He played e5 move in this position, and if you move the knight, obviously then knight d6 check is coming, knight into b7, and this c6 pawn is also weak. That is there. But what would you play if somebody plays b5? What will you play in this position? I'll just give you 1 minute to think about this position, because now something was coming up to black's king. This is a speciality of Tal. Will Tal save his queen, or he will just sacrifice the queen? Okay, it's not so easy, okay guys. Well, Shivendra is saying knight to the d6, but knight to the d6 will be a big blunder, because black can give up the queen with queen into d6, Dandapani e into d6, and then black will be piece up. Okay, and you don't have queens on the board, so it's very difficult to checkmate also. So understand, black can play queen into d6 because black is already attacking white's queen. Pawn into f6, rook e1 is the move suggested by Ranveer. Then king d6, Krishna is ba4, rook a1. Yes, actually he went for the queen. He's giving up his queen by playing something. And to tell you this story behind this move, this Tal's opponent was considering something else. Like he was considering like Tal will play queen to the b3 in this position. After the game, he told about this thing, that he was just thinking about queen to the b3, and Tal thought for a while, and he captured on f6, and suddenly his opponent was like about to fall from his leg. He did not believe that okay, this is really happening, and a very big demonstration board used to be there. Nowadays we know that online chess is there. There is no need of big demos, but that time big demonstration board was there, and people were actually going to move the queen, but Tal captured on knight, and everybody was like astonished, and all Tal's teammates who were playing, as this was Olympiad, they were gathered around their board, and they were thinking, oh my god. And one of his friend, he came and he was smiling at him like, what you went. And it was a very funny moment at that time, and his opponent was also very happy. Okay, now queen is gone, what to do? Well, he finally captured the queen on a4, because he wanted to see what Tal is going to do. Okay, in this position, if you play rook a e1, that is a possibility, but if you play rook a e1, then you should see that h4 bishop is hanging, so black will just capture on h4. If you capture on e6, then if you calculate the number of pieces on the board, then black is having 4 pieces and you are rook down, so that is not something which is good for you. Okay, yes, so he did not play rook a e1, he played f into g7 in this position. Well, now this rook on h8 is being attacked, so rook g8 was played. Again Tal played one move which was really brilliant, and his opponent was shocked, because now he understood that okay, the position is there, the king is very bad, it cannot even go to the f8 square, d file, it can go, but this queen is there on this file, but he wants to do something else with his knight also, and he converted this position into the end game, which was favorable for him. And bishop into g6 is not that good. If you play this move, okay, I can play f into g6, you can play rook f e1, and you can try to win everything, but I will play bishop c8 and I will defend everything. Still, this position is not that great from white's perspective. White played something astonishing. Dandapani, it's Krishna. he played something which will give him an end game which is better for him. Well, he played bishop to the f5. I'll just tell you, because now if you play queen into f5, then after knight d6 check, this king will move to the, let's suppose, d7 square, and this end game is actually better for white because he has this 1 2 3 pawns. 4 these pawns are there from black side, 4 pawns are there, but those are 4 pawns are blocked because of these 2 pawns, and this bishop is bad because it cannot really come out so easily, and white will be having extra pawns on the king side, and it was something easy, and black's king is also in the center of the board. So his opponent did not wanted to go for that thing, he did not go for it. He played knight into h4, and here bishop into e6 was played. Again, if you play f into e6, then knight into d6, knight d6 will be played, king here, and the knight into d7, then c5 pawn will fall, and let's suppose you play rook into g7 attacking the pawn on g2, then I can play g3, and then this knight must move at some point, and this c5 pawn is still a weakness, and the king is weakness. So again this endgame is better for white. So he did not play that move again. He played bishop to the a6, because what he said, like his opponent said, like he wanted to get rid of this knight because it was so annoying for him. And finally he played knight to the d6 check, king to the e7. I'll just finish off this game because now this is a technical endgame. Bishop to the c4, he wants to exchange this bishop at any point. The rook g7 attacking the g2 pawn, he played g3, and king into d6 and bishop into a6. Well, we have converted the game, Tal converted the game into the endgame, which is better for him. These pawns are there on the queen side, but they are not good because they are double pawns, and he has one extra pawn on the king side. So now he just converted the game. I'll just show you slowly how he converted the position into the win. We will not discuss because I want to show you another game also, if you are ready. Okay, so he played knight to the f5, then he played rook to the b1 taking control of the b file. He played f6, again he played rook f d1, king e7, rook e1 check, king d6, king f2, c4 was played, then he played g4. Should I move through the endgame quickly? Just tell me yes. Okay, I'm going to move anyhow. Rook b7, rook was played here, bishop into c4, then knight d5 came, he recovered one pawn on that side, and now this is the rook endgame. He did not wanted to go for it, and then a4 pawn is also a weakness. He played rook to the c8, and here rook into a4 was played, rook into c3, rook a6, and f6 pawn is also gone. You can see that white is still pawn up, and he has 3 pawns on the king side, and it is just winning. So I'll just play through it. Now 2 pawns are there, and this is just he started pushing his pawns with the king's help, and the pawn is just going to queen. It is not and this rook endgame is also winning. Now rook g5, and then finally Tal's opponent resigned. So this game actually I love because this of this incident which happened on this move, where queen was sacrificed after b5. Okay, so do you want to see another game of Tal? Would you like to see one more game by Tal? Yes, one more. Okay. Okay, let's look at one game by Tal which okay, everybody is saying yes. So let me think which game should be a little bit short also and not too much complicated also, because I have plenty of Tal's games. I have selected to show some of his brilliant games, but okay, I'll show you one simple game. Tal can play in a simple way also, not too much of complicated way. So the game was played between Mikhail Tal, and if time is there I will show you another game also. This game was played between Tal and Bent Larsen, and it was also played in candidates tournament. Just let me check. Bent Larsen. It was played in 1965 was the tournament. 1965. Okay, fine. Okay, so Tal was Anand has faced Tal once and Anand won. Okay, end game tutorial, sir. Well, today is but just to let you know, if you don't know that my friend is there, Sagar Shah. He is taking in-game sessions every single day in the morning time, and he has 9 days of series. That is very instructive. If you want to learn end games, and do watch his videos, which is live streaming in the morning at 8 o'clock every single day. You will learn a lot about end game if you look at his live stream. So do watch it. Okay, you learn a lot in endgame because I also watch it and I also learn a lot from him. So if you want to learn, go to Chessbase India's channel and search his previous endgame sessions. Also, he is explaining in a very amazing way. You will learn a lot. Okay. Okay, fine. So this game was, as I told you, we will start with this game. It was played with Tal and Bent Larsen. E4 was the move. Then C5, knight to the F3, knight to the C6, and oh, he told about my channel. Thank you. Okay, D4, C into D4. Well, like Sagar's home and my home is like just 1 kilometer away from each other. So I see his lectures. Knight into d4 was played, Sicilian defense, e6, knight to the c3. And I will tell you, this game is not that much complicated. I just want to show you that Tal can play in a positional way also. Okay, d6, bishop to the e3, then knight to the f6, then f4 was played, and bishop to the e7 and queen to the f3. I'll just go through the opening phase little bit quickly because as you can see that both sides are castled on the opposite side. There might be some fireworks coming up. Black played queen to the c7 in this position, and now white played knight db5. So queen b8 was played. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Went back to the knight to the d4, knight into d4, bishop. I am just going through the opening phase a little bit faster. And now from this move onwards, I am going to ask you questions like g5 is played and knight went to the d7 square. Now bishop d3 is played. You can see that these two bishops are eyeing towards this king side. Okay. Now from this moment onwards, you are going to tell me what would you play. So b4 was played. Which move will you play from white side? You can see that black's pieces are little bit on the queen side. They are not really participating on the king side. This black's king is little bit lonely. Only this bishop and rook is there. Okay, knight a4 is suggested by Shivendra. Well, if you go to the knight a4, then okay, you can play it. Knight e2 is also a possibility. But this is Tal's game, man. Tal will not play a safe move. He will play something drastic. He will play with his pieces. He want to open up this bishop diagonal. So which move? he wants to open up his diagonals. His bishop should be opened up. He wants to go against black's king. Okay, e5 you are saying, but e5 if you play, guys, then you are blocking your own bishop. Like if you play e5, I'll play just d5. I'll not capture your knight. Then what would you do? This bishop will be blocked. Tal did not want to that thing. He wants to open up the position. Well, Nupur is suggesting knight d5. Well, that is an interesting move. If anybody comes up, well, knight d5 was actually played in this position because what he wants to do is like e into d5, e into d5. These two bishops will be opened up. The diagonal is now opened up, and another idea is that these two pawns will also be rolling, and after that opening up. Yes, two bishops are opened up now, and Tal goes for. Now black understood that okay, he needs to block something, so he played f5 trying to block the, but Tal did not go for g into f6. That will be a mistake because if you go for that thing, then knight into f6 will be happening and this bishop will also come in the game. So he did not want to go for that thing. He played a very simple move. He has sacrificed one piece, but he is not going to go all out. He will bring his pieces because he understands that black's pieces are not in the game. Okay, white's king is safe. Although in the count white is piece down, but if you count the pieces on the king side, then these pieces are going to be there on the king side, and it's like white is piece up in this position. So he played rook d e1, bringing the rook in the game. Now bishop is attacked. Black defended with rook. Now he again goes for h4. He wants to play h5 and h6. Bishop to the b7 is played. And now can you tell me a good move? Well, yeah, bishop into f5 is actually a good move. You will win the pawn on f5. After rook into f5, rook will come on the 7th rank with some attack. Now g7 is being attacked, d7 is also being attacked. And here black, to block this bishop's diagonal, he played knight to the e5. Okay, now this bishop's diagonal is blocked. If you play bishop into, let's suppose, e5. Yes, Krishna, I'll suggest you in the end. Let's look at this. Then this move will be possible, and white cannot really capture the rook on e5. Can you tell me why? Okay, guys, tell me. Which move will you play? Yes, queen into rook is the simplest move in this position because now your queen is hanging and you will be two pieces down. So that is not which Fischer, like Tal, wanted to do. He played queen e4, attacking this rook, as well as this knight is also being captured now. Okay, so he played queen to the f8, attacking this rook and supporting this rook. But okay, if he captures your rook on e7, you can capture the rook on f5. So white played f into e5 and rook f4 is played, attacking this queen. So queen moved back to the e3 square. Again it attacked. Then he played queen to the e2. Now the black's rook cannot really attack with rook to the f2. And finally he captured on e7 and queen into f3 was played. And he captured the pawn on e5. But you can see that now endgame has been reached, and where white is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. Black is having 5 pawns, but the pawn on e5 is going to be captured. So you can see that the game has been converted into a one end game just after one sacrifice, and all these things happened because white's pieces were very well connected. They came on the king side very quickly, and he played a rook to the e1. Now the pawn on e5 is going to fall. He played rook d8. Now d5 pawn is being attacked. Rook into e5. Now queen to the d6. Now okay, d5 pawn is going to fall, but Tal plays a queen. Nice move. He plays queen to the f4. Now my question for you is, can black capture the pawn on d5? Okay. Is bishop into d5 is a good move? Guys, after this we will solve some tactics on chess.com. Yes, rook e8 is coming. Right, correct. Rook e8 is coming because after rook into e8, queen into d6 will be played and the queen will be lost. That is not a good option, and the king is also not having. So bishop into d5 is not an option. So black played rook to the f8. Now the d5 pawn will not be captured so easily, and he played queen to the e4. Now the pawn is supported, and to create some threats, black played b3, but it is nothing which is going to happen. A into b3 is simple. After rook f1, then king to the d2 was played. If queen b4 check, white played c3. Now if you capture on b3, there is checkmate is threatened with rook e8 check, king f7 if it's played, then queen e6 will be a checkmate. And even if you play rook to the f8, white will checkmate with queen e6, king h8, and rook into f8 is a check and mate. So that is not a possibility from black side. He cannot really do anything. He went to the d6 square, but although this position is almost lost for him, can you find out a good move which just finished off the game? Last move of this game which will finish off the game. White to play and win. Your first tactic to finish off black's king. Rook e8, well, it is a possibility. Rook e8 is definitely a possibility, but you can, as I mentioned you earlier, if you play rook e8, you are not going to have this e6 square. The queen is defending the e6 square. So what should you do? You need to deflect this queen. Once the queen is deflected, then you go for rook e8 and queen e6 check and mate. Yes, correct. Okay, rook e6 if you play, then you are allowing your opponent's queen actually to defend with queen to the f4 check, and then he will be happy. Okay, that position is also winning for you, but at least or he can even go for something like queen to the h2 check also. So don't give the video later. Okay, Digant, you are late. Okay, no problem. Well, bishop c5 is the best move, I'll just tell you. If queen into c5 is played, he doesn't have any checks to give white's king. And after this, we already saw that this check and mate is there. If king moves to the square, queen e6 is a checkmate. And if he plays rook to the f8, then queen to the e6 is a check. And if he plays king to the h8, then rook into f8 is a check and mate. That's why actually he resigned after bishop to the c5, because it's just a winning position for white. So from this game you can see, like, seemingly from a very simple opening, Tal opened up the position with knight to the d5. He opened up his bishops, and then he finished off his opponent with a very simple moves. He just brought his pieces, and then he won the game in a very simple way by converting the game into an end game which is winning for him. Okay. Okay, now do you want to solve the puzzle, or do you in the end I can show you one of my favorite games of Tal which I have already analyzed. How many people have seen that game, Tal versus Little Screen, where the Tal brings his king in the game, that king walk? Okay, Nupur, you are asking me something. Okay, let's see what you are asking me. Queen into f8 was coming, but okay. Okay, here queen, that, yeah, that move is coming. You are saying that thing. Okay. Then maybe can I play something, or did I miss anything while telling you? Queen 7 is a possibility in this position, I think. Yeah. Queen f7 I can play. I'll just play queen f7 because there is no check or anything. Queen f7 is the possibility. I'll not play rook into f8. I'll play queen f7, and then you cannot capture anything. And it's a check and mate. So do you want to solve some puzzles? And this is winning, right? Or should you look at the game which I was going to show you actually, which involves king's walk? Tal brings his king in opponent's camp and he just wins the game. Do you want to see the game first? Just write it down, game or tactics. Puzzle first, okay. So you will be waiting after that also. Okay. Okay, somebody is saying game, somebody is saying puzzle. Okay, whoever says like more votes will be there, I will go for that. Game or puzzle. Okay, people are saying game first. So we will look at the game by Tal, which is one of my favorite, where Tal brings out his king and he wins the game, end game, in a very nice style. Okay. Okay, puzzle will solve in the end. Whoever wants to stay for the puzzle, they can stay till the end. One last time I am going to ask you. Then king walk. Puzzle, then king walk. Okay. Okay, as let's solve puzzles or what? Stay till the end. Okay. Your wish. Okay, I want to show the game very quickly. I'll show. I'll not take your more time. Okay, Lizitsin. This game was played between Tal and Lizitsin. It is a kind of famous game by these players, and the game started. I'll just show you. Tal versus Lizitsin game is here. Tal was white. Then puzzles now and then game. Okay, fine. Guys, you are saying puzzles. So we will solve puzzles for 5 minutes. And then we'll go for something. First we'll solve because we are looking at the game since long time. So let's solve some puzzles. So let's solve some puzzles. I did not play after that. Yesterday we reached till 1600 rating. Okay, now this puzzle. Okay, let's start it. You tell me what would you do? Black to play. Today 1700. Okay, you want to reach 1700. We'll see whether we want to reach only till 1650 or 1700. We'll see now. Let's see whether you guys enjoy. Black to play. The king is unsafe. We can see it directly in this position. There is no denial about this thing. But you need to pay attention to your opponent's thing also. Like he is threatening check and mate on g7. Okay. So pay attention to that thing. Guys, not only one move. You need to tell me complete variation. Not just one move, Krishna. Bishop 3, king g1, rook to the g2, king f1, then queen h3. Okay, you are saying, but you are getting checkmated on g7, my dear friend. You need to pay attention to your opponent's threat. Okay, as you are telling first move bishop f3, I'll play it. Now next move, which move will you play? Because bishop f3 will not win you any anything. After that, you need to think. Well, this queen a6 check you are threatening, right? Okay, I'll go for rook g2 check, and now you are saying queen to the a6 check, and obviously it's a check and mate. Okay, next one, correct? Black to play now. Yes, you are right. Everybody is right. Krishna, Nupur, you are right. Ranveer, you are also right. Okay, I can see that there is some discovered attack on this queen, and you can take advantage of this thing. How will you take advantage? Come on, guys, quickly. This is not that difficult. It's quite of easy one. Well, yeah, e3. Shivendra is saying e3. That's quite correct. Okay. Should I go for e3 then? e3 and this, yes. Okay, I'll go for e3, and now I'll capture the bishop, and then I'll capture the queen. That's quite easy. Let's go to the next one. White to play. Which move will you play? This is interesting position. Yes, Mayur, you are right. Nupur, you are also right about the. C4 suggested by Shivendra. G4 is suggested by Nupur. Well, why do you want to play which move? Tell me the reason. Not just the one move. You always tell me one move. One move will not win you games. You need to see what you are going to play. Your opponent's moves also. Manish, G4 के बाद क्या? What would you play after G4? Means your opponent might capture on F4. What is your idea? Well, I can see that your idea of G4 is quite there. If he captures here, you want to capture on D5, right? Well, rook is not trapped after C4. He can go back to the D7 square. Well, G4 I will go for your move, and let's see whether it is correct or not, because well, and now which move will you play? That's quite obvious. The bishop is hanging, so I'll capture the, well, rook is hanging, so this is quite easy. Yes, so the next one. I can see that there are some back rank checkmate problems are there in black's camp. There can be a back rank checkmate because this rook and queen are in the same file. Yes, Ranveer, you are right. Krishna, you are right. Shivendra, all you said the right moves, but those moves are coming a little bit late for me. If rook into e8, queen into f8, rook into f8, rook into the mate. If bishop, then same queen sacrifice and mate. Well, that's quite interesting. Mayur, you are quite right about this thing. I think there is no problem because, well, Mayur has already told me this thing. I'll go for it. Bishop e8 is interesting because if we capture the bishop, then queen into f8, rook into f8, and then rook into f8 is a check and mate. Okay. The next one now. Next one, white to play. Okay, guys, tell me. We are already at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Do you want to see the game after this or what? Knight c6, quite obvious. You are saying knight f5. Yes, knight f5 is also a possibility in this position. Which move will you play? Knight into c6. Okay. If you captures bishop into c6, then okay, knight f5. You guys are very confused. Think about something, one thing. Knight f5 is being said by everybody. Well, Krishna, I'll go for knight to the f5 and let's see whether it is correct or not. Okay. And I need to capture the queen, obviously, and then it's knight f5. Okay, because you were attacking. So should we get back to the game now, or do you want to increase 5 more points and at least cross 1650? Okay, we'll try one more. Okay, this is very easy. Everybody knows this thing. I hope you are going to checkmate black's king. Very few people are there now, only 10 or 11. Yeah, bishop into f7 is going to be checkmated because after this knight d5 is a check and mate. Yes. Well, we have crossed 1650. Mayur, you are also right, Krishna. Yes, it's a normal trap which happens many times. So if you are ready, then we'll look at the game, or we can end the session here also. It's your wish. Just let me know. What would you like to do? Nupur, you are right. Manish, everybody is right about this thing. Okay, you are suggesting me game. Okay, game. So this game is one of my favorites. This game is fine, already quite sleepy. Okay, we will look at this game quickly. I will not go very slowly. I'll go a little bit fast, and we'll reach to the position where it is very important. Okay, what happened in this game is like the position was quite simple from the opening. Tal's opponent wanted to exchange pieces as many as possible because he wanted to draw the game against him. Okay, so what happens when your opponent is just trying to exchange your pieces, and Tal sees something which was very brilliant. We'll see it now. How he uses his king in the end game. That is very okay. E4 was played by Tal, then c5, then knight f3, then d6, d4, c into d4, knight into d4, knight f6, knight c3, and g6. Now this is Sicilian dragon opening. Everybody must be knowing this name. When black player fianchetures his bishop on g7 and then they go for the castle. And usually in this kind of positions, white players go for the attack with f3, then bishop to the g7, then bishop e3, castles, queen d2, and black player also is going to attack on the this side, maybe knight to the c6, then long castle, and Akshas Patil plays chess. Hello. Okay, So this is the usual thing which happens, and then after this black player might play bishop to the d7, then knight e5, rook c8. This is the plan, and white also tries to attack. Okay, but Tal decided to play in a different way in this game. He did not go for it. He played f4, and now there is a very simple trap is there. You should guys know, whoever is playing this kind of dragon variation, you should know that the natural looking bishop to the g7 is actually a mistake in this position, because white can play e5, and after e5, if d into e5 is played, f into e5, then knight is not having any good squares, because if you play knight to the g4, can you tell me which move will you play? Okay, I'm waiting for your. Come on. Knight g4 is a mistake. Bishop e2. No, bishop not bishop e2. Bishop b5 check. Yes, absolutely right. Bishop e5 is actually a good move in this position, because if bishop d7 is played, this bishop is pinned, and this knight's supporter will not be there. You can just play queen into g4 and you will win the piece. That is there. And if king f8 is played in this position, which move will you play? King f8. Come on, tell me. Yeah, knight to the d6 is actually a correct move. Knight to the e6 check, we will be attacking queen as well as the king, and the queen will be lost. So that is not something good for black. So bishop g7, which looks quite good, will not be good after this move. And if he goes for the knight d7 in that position, then e6 is again a good move. This knight is being, if this is played, then black's king side will be shattered. So that is not something which black wanted to do. So black needs to play in this position knight to the c6. Okay. Yes, Ranveer, you are also right. Everybody said the correct moves in this position. And after knight into c6, b into c6, you can say that black has this strong control in the center, but Tal had a very nice idea in his mind. He is going to act in the center with e5 move, and now the knight is being attacked. If this pawn is captured, then white can just capture the queens, and the black's right to castle in this position will be lost. So he did not go for it. He played knight to the d7, and after e into d6, e into d6, white played bishop to the e3. Now you can see that black's idea initially was to play bishop to the g7, but in this position he cannot really go for bishop g7 because the pawn on d6 is hanging. So to prepare for the castle, he played bishop to the e7. Now he is going to castle, but we know this thing that if castling is also done in this position, there will be some weaknesses in this diagonal. But okay, black has this bishop f6 move at some point, and he will defend it. So Tal played queen to the f3, attacking the pawn on c6. Black played d5, supporting the pawn, defending it. So white played castles, and black played bishop to the f6. He is attacking on this diagonal. So Tal understands this thing that when your opponent is having a good piece, you should exchange it. Always remember this thing. It's the strategy said by someone, I don't remember exactly, but I read this strategy in Boris Gelfand's book, The Positional Decision Making in Chess. That is a very nice book. You should read it. In that book, what he says, like, the positional concept is like this. If your opponent is having good pieces, okay, one or two good pieces if your opponent is having, then in that case what you should do is like exchange those good pieces. Then all he will be left will be bad pieces. Most of the time it happens like that. So try to exchange your opponent good pieces with your maybe good pieces or bad pieces, but try to reduce his good pieces. It's like good pieces are like his weapons, and if you destroy his weapon, then he will be weaponless. So bishop d4 is absolutely right, suggested by you guys. Then after bishop to the d4, black castled, and white played h4. Now h4 is played, but black cannot really capture the pawn on h4, because if he captures the pawn on h4, then the h file will be opened up. Okay, so after h file gets opened up, white can simply play queen to the h3, and this bishop cannot really move because queen into h7 is a check and mate. So because of this reason he did not go, and g5 looks very horrible because g3 will trap the bishop on h4. So obviously black did not go for h4 pawn, he played rook to the b8. He also wants to create his own counterplay on the b file. And now here in this position, white played queen to the f2 because he needs to protect the bishop on d4, because there is always some kind of a trap behind your opponent's moves. So the natural looking move is h5, which white might play, but it will lose one pawn. So can you tell me which move will you play if you go for this? Okay, I'll tell you, there is a trap behind black's rook b8, that he wants to play bishop into d4, rook into d4, and now queen into b6. He will be forking rook as well as the pawn on b2. So that is not something good. He will be double attacking. So black cannot really go for this, because if you move the rook anywhere, then queen into b2, and black will be very happy to play this position. Okay, so he did not play h5. He understood his opponent's idea. He played queen to the f2, and now rook b4 is played, attacking this bishop on d4. So he played bishop into f6, then knight into f6, and now a3 is played. Now white is trying to kick this rook away anywhere, but before he does that, black decided to let's exchange more pieces against Tal, so that he will be able to draw the game at least, or he will be able to safeguard his king more properly, because he understood that the dark square bishop is gone, so black's king side is little bit weak. So he wants to reduce pieces, that's why he played queen to the b6 in this position, thinking that this position will be good for him if he wants to defend. So white needed to play queen into b6, then rook into b6, and now Tal again understood this thing, that these pawns are mobile, means these pawns are there. If he allows these pawns to move forward, then as we saw in yesterday's session also, Capablanca had hanging pawns, but once the hanging pawns were rolling, it was difficult for his opponent. So we need to stop hanging pawns. So which move will you play to stop these pawns? Guys, come on, tell me. Knight a4, absolutely right. Knight a4 should be played, because once the knight is a4 is played, then this pawn will not come on c5, and the d4 pawn, obviously it cannot come. Then knight c5 is also one of the ideas. Yes, you guys are right, you are very sharp. Then rook b7 was played. Now the pawns are stopped, right? Your one job is done. So he develops the bishop to the d3 square, and black plays knight to the h5, and he is attacking this pawn on f4, so he plays rook to the f1. So black also understand that okay, the rook's job is done on the b file, he should go to the e file. He is trying to control the only open file in this position. Now if you just play normal moves, your opponent will be able to bring his rook on the e file, and then the position will be normal. So but Tal wanted to win this game. To win the game, you need to complicate the positions against the player who is trying to play simple chess. Okay, so Tal did not wanted to just play in a normal way, he wanted to complicate the game. So he played f5. This move is a pawn sacrifice, because in this position you can see, like, if bishop into f5 is played, then we can actually play bishop into f5, and it will not be good for him, because g into f5 will rook into f5, and this knight will be very bad, and plus the king is also bad. So black did not wanted to go for that. Again you will see that knight g3 is a possibility, attacking bishop as well as the knight rook on f1. But white can play one simple move. Can you tell me which move will you play? I'll wait for you. Bishop into g6. No, no, bishop dandapani. No, you can save your bishop. You can save your bishop. You don't need to give up the bishop. You can save your bishop by playing bishop to the d3. So now he might play this move, and you will be having 3 pieces against black's 2 pieces. So this is a good trade for us. Okay, so that's why black did not go for it. Black played g into f5. He wanted to win the pawn, but if he goes for g into f5, now you can see that this bishop will be blocked by his own pawns. This pawn structure is very bad, and look at white's pawn structure. It is at least little bit, only 2 pawn islands are there. That is a good thing. So pawn structure is a very important concept in endgame especially, and another important concept we are going to see is in the endgame is king's activity. So he understood that, as I told you earlier, in this position the only active piece means rook is there on the e file. So Tal decided to exchange that rook. He played rook f e1 in this position, just exchanging his opponent good pieces, and then he played rook to the e8, rook into e7 and rook into e7. And now in this position you can see that the king is there on g8. It will take some time for it, but there are weaknesses in black's camp, and white decided to use his king to attack black's pawn weaknesses, that is the pawn on c6, and he started his journey with his king, with king to the d2. What he is trying to do is like he is going to go after the c6 pawn. And now the famous king walk starts, and we'll see what happens. I'll show you a little bit more quickly now. The king goes for the c6 pawn, king c3, because now f4 is played. The bishop is trying to come on f5, but okay, Tal is not going to care about that thing. He is just going for the pawn. He plays king to the d4 because he understands that king's job in the endgame is not to just stay in the safe chambers. It is his job to be in the field and attack his opponent in the like a leader. Okay, so he played bishop to the f5. He wants to play something like bishop into d3, and once this bishop will be gone, he is going to play rook to the e2, attacking the pawn on g2. So even if you have decided about something, pay attention to your opponent's threats. So Tal understand what is the opponent's threat. He plays rook to the d2, controlling the second rank. Okay, so his opponent plays rook to the e6, supporting the pawn on c6, and also he is going for rook h6 and attacking the pawn on h4, which is a weakness in his camp. Okay, so Tal understand one more thing, that the knight on a4 is not doing that great job. It should be brought in the game. So you should play with your all pieces. So you can see that after knight c5, white's pieces are centralized. You should centralize your pieces. The more you can centralize your pieces, more scope they will be having. And after knight c5, black played rook h6, and after rook to the h6, the king is not going to stop. The king went to the e5 square. He is not afraid of checkmates because it is an endgame. Now the pawn on f4 plus the pawn on f5, bishop on f5 is attacked. He played bishop into d3, c into d3, and the pawn on h4 is captured. Which move will you play? Obviously we should play king to the d6. Now the pawn on c6 is attacked, but black thought, okay, I can defend the pawn with one simple move. I can just play rook h6 check. What would you do? So which pawn you should attack now? Can you tell me? I'll wait for you guys. Just let me know in comments. Until now the king was, yes, king c7, and you will be going for the a7 pawn. Absolutely right. The c6 pawn is defended, but the a7 pawn will be attacked. So he goes for king c7. Now if the a pawn falls, then the a pawn will be queening. So his strategy is now working out. Yes. So black decides, okay, he will bring back the knight in the game. He plays knight to the f5, but white is not going to stop. He plays king to the b7, attacking the pawn on a7. Then knight d4 comes. He is also trying to centralize the piece, and also his idea is to play knight to the e6, exchanges this c5 knight. But okay, in this position you should understand one more thing also. If you capture the pawn on a7, black's idea was to play rook to the h2. Because now if he plays rook to the h2, the g2 pawn is pinned because this rook is hanging. And another thing is that he is going to play f3, and black's pawn will queen first, because if you play a4 or something like that, then f3 will be played, and then it is very difficult position for white. So pay attention to your opponent's ideas, and Tal understood black's idea, and to stop his idea, Tal played rook to the f2. Now he is attacking the dangerous pawn on f4, which was not actually dangerous until now. He is attacking the pawn on f4 now. Okay, so his opponent played a5, trying to save the pawn. But even if he saves the pawn on f4 is gone. He played rook into f4. Now the knight is attacked. Knight goes to the e6 square, attacking the rook as well as the knight on c5. So white just plays rook to the g4. And here in this position, black actually played king to the f8. So my question for you is like, can black play rook to the g6? Is it a good option for black? Can you tell me? Is rook g6 a good move or a bad move? Yes, actually, Dandapani is saying actually yes, but if you go a little bit deeper, then you can say that the resulting pawn endgame which will be happening will be favoring white, and white will be just winning the bad move. No, king active, okay, because we will see that what is happening if white just exchanges all the pieces in this file, then it is winning pawn endgame for him. So he can play rook into g6. If h into g6, then knight into e6, white will just exchange all the pieces, and then after this king into c6, and now this b pawn will be queening b4, b5, b6, b7, and black cannot really stop it, because okay, this even if we play this move, we don't need to worry about it. We can just capture the pawn on d5. So black cannot create any passed pawn, but white's passed pawn is just going through. So rook g6 obviously is a bad move. So he played king to the f8, and now without fearing anything, finally he took the c6 pawn. That was his aim in the game, and finally he achieved. Just to show you the king's path until now, I'll just show you like the journey until now was like this. Can you see the journey? I am showing it with the arrows with some diagram now. It's the c6 pawn is gone. Yes guys, you are right about the thing. Mayur, you are right. Digant, you are also right. Imran, you are right. This is so beautiful, like his king started to capture the c6 pawn, and now finally he achieved his dream. Can you see it? I think you are not able to see it on the board because I can only see it. Okay, finally he plays knight into c5 and then king into c5. Now the d5 pawn is hanging, and just to let you know, like the king started his journey with d2, then it went to the c3, then d4, then e5, then it went to the d6 square, then c7 square, b7 square, and finally he captured the pawn on c6. Okay, so this was a very beautiful journey by the king. Finally he captured the pawn on c6. Okay, and now this is a technically a winning endgame for white. He is pawn up, plus this pawn on d5 is going to fall. White black played rook to the e6, and after king into d5, white is one pawn up, plus he has this passed pawns. These two passed pawns are there, and he just won the game. Just for the sake of clarity, I'll show you the game till the end. So rook b6, obviously we should play b4, we should not give up the pawn on b2. After a into b4, a into b4, he played king e7, he played king c5. That now this pawn should roll. He played rook f6, he played rook to the d4. This is very important concept. Always remember that in the end game, if you can restrict your opponent's king, then it is a good strategy. It is called as king cutoff. By playing rook to the d4, white is not hurrying anything. He is cutting off his opponent's king so that it cannot come in the defense. This is a very good strategy, because once the king is cut from the main battlefield, you can just push your pawn and you can win the game, because it is like his opponent is playing without his king. Okay, that is not a good strategy in the end game, because in the end game king is a very important piece. So black played rook f5 check, king to the b6, rook f6 check, then king c7, and he played rook to the f5, hoping that now b5 pawn cannot be played, and white might play king to the c6, and then again he can give the check. But no, again in this position, after rook to the f5, Tal played a nice move. He further pushed away his opponent's king by move rook to the e4. Now the king is away from the main action. He simply played king to the c6. Now there is no f6 check, and now the pawn is queening. He played rook to the f2. g4 is played. He tried to create his own passed pawn, but okay, this position is already very difficult. Rook behind the passed pawn. Another important concept you should remember: whenever it is possible for you, rook should be placed behind the passed pawn. So b5 is your passed pawn. Tal placed his rook behind the passed pawn. Now the pawn is rolling. So f4, b6, f3, b7, and in this position black just resigned. Okay, even if you give this check, then after this the pawn will queen, and if f1 queen is there, then we can just checkmate his king by playing all these moves, because he cannot really save his game. And okay, this just for the clarity I showed you this last variation. This the journey by the king was very special. And remember this thing: even if your opponent is exchanging pieces, don't worry, try to utilize your opponent's weaknesses in the end game. Pawn structure is very important. You should utilize the king. So today, even though Mikhail Tal is considered as the best player in the world when it comes to tactics, he was good in positional terms also. Yeah, I'll think about tomorrow's game. I was thinking about showing you Anand's games, but maybe I should keep Anand's game till the last session, because Anand is our hero. Maybe I'll think about it. You suggest me what should be tomorrow's topic. I'll think about it and I will select those games. Okay. Just comment in the. Did you like today's game? It was mixed. It was tactical also and positional also. Both the things were there today. Carpoy is being suggested. Tell us about Lusum Panamare. Okay. We'll send you a nice story about Anand's game later. Okay. So guys, did you like today's games? Although it was a very long session, you stayed with me. I am really happy that you are staying with me for this much long. We are almost 2 hours online now. Thank you very much. We looked at some different styles of game, end game, middle game, everything. Krishna, the games, can you write down an email for me so that I can suggest you particularly? My email ID is atuldahale64@gmail.com. If you have any questions or something, you can write me an email. So I will just reply to you with your queries, and I will try to give the answers in the session also. You can find my email ID in the about section also, or you can go to my Facebook account everywhere. Okay, you just write down my email ID and you can send me. Okay, thank you very much guys. We will meet tomorrow at the same time at 5 o'clock, and I will publish about the tomorrow's topic also, maybe at night or tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. See you, take care, bye.